Welcome to the study of the Book of Enoch.
These are the words of the blessing of Enoch.
So what you're actually looking at right behind me, and I'm going to get out of the way, this is the famous Pan's Cave. So we're going to be talking about Satan, the prince of the air, great god, nothing, king of demons.
So we're out here, this is the Sea of Galilee.
Demonic spirits attack God's people. And then I started asking the question, where do demons come from?
A couple of days from the 70th anniversary of the birth of Israel.
Because if we're really going to be successful in the last days in overcoming these demonic spirits.
Satan was the top cherub, the top angel in heaven, and his job was to lead the rest of the angels since he had the highest authority.
Don't do it, Bonnie.
Okay.
I want straight answers out of you, okay? This, first of all, look in the camera and say, this is for Alex Jones and InfoWars.
This is for Alex Jones and InfoWars.
And God in a nutshell.
And God in a nutshell.
Well done. And Trey Smith.
And Trey Smith.
And Mike Murdoch.
And no.
Go ahead,
No,
just
I
say it. It's
can't.
okay, it's all right.
All right,
He's not
Mike.
Mike, we love
A
you.
privilege.
Okay. So,
Yeah, we have no idea if we're actually going to get through or not. We don't. Everybody else had the proper paperwork and stuff. So we're entering a foreign land, really very unprepared. But that's all right. It wouldn't be a good video if we didn't do that. So this is really for you, on your couch at home.
We're going to the pub.
No, I'm actually very jealous of these people on the other side of the screen. No, they're on the couches and stuff right now. As we're going through barbed wire fences, we don't have no idea. Carrying heavy luggage.
Pretty much underneath the Father and the Son, he had the highest authority, and he was there to lead the rest of the angels in heaven to worship the Father and the Son.
So I asked the question, where do they come from? What is their end time plan?
This session that we're doing here, this is the first session on angels, fallen angels, and devils, the Book of the Watchers.
And it's hot as can be. You know what, man? I'm jealous of you on the other side of that screen. Fast forward if you like.
We're here. They know.
We're here.
I'm not kidding.
been sitting here for a few minutes trying to start a drone up from the bow of an enormous boat. There's Jane and Donne and their family. And
Our first session on angels and fallen angels. This was an ancient temple where children were sacrificed. These are the words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and righteous, these are two different groups, who will be living in the time of trouble, when the wicked and the godless are to be removed. The mouth of this cave behind me, the cave almost looks like a devil's mouth back there, is what it looks like. This is at the base of Mount Hermon.
Well, Mount Hermon, as your viewers probably know, if they've done any study at all with the Book of Enoch, or if they've watched your work over the years, know that Mount Hermon is where the Watchers, a group of rebellious angels, came down and made a mutual pact to corrupt humanity.
We're pulling up to Pan's Cave, and this is where Jesus told Peter, "Get behind me, Satan." This is where that happened. And now behold the souls of those who have died because of the very things practiced, beginning right here at this mountain where darkness descended. And he took up his parable concerning them. I, Enoch, a righteous man. Right here, what I'm walking through, these are ancient pillars. These are all ancient pillars. Now, some of these, as I walk through here, and I've got two cameras going, and I'm just sort of walking around these puppies, he affiliates himself with the righteous, whose eyes were opened by God. So to be righteous, the eyes need to open. As I go, some of these had blood stains on them.
Not just take wives, but to teach us things we weren't supposed to know, like magic, sorcery, the cutting of roots, the telling of the future by looking at the stars, the art of making implements of war, weapons, how to fight, things that we weren't supposed to know. And
They made an ode to each other. The things that we're supposed to be observing decided we're making entrance.
We're with Skywatch TV. We're with Derek and Sharon. And
You're Jim Bakker's friend.
Yes. Well, I'm actually with Jim Bakker's sister, escorting
Where's
her.
she at?
Right here.
Jim?
Are you kidding me?
Get over here. Now you tell me what's the significance of the 70th.
Wait, this is... Go ahead, you tell him.
Listen, I'm so happy to be right here, because this is really #1 place I wanted to be. To see Gethsemane.
Yeah.
And
You're standing in Gethsemane. Is this your first time to Israel?
Yes.
We're having our own children, and what did they want? God's going to tell you what they wanted. And
in the minds of Jewish religious thinkers, at least through the end of the Second Temple period, which was the period of the apostles and Jesus.
This was a worship center for the Romans. It was a heavy Roman center.
If you'd asked a Jew why the world is in such a terrible state, they would have said, well, yeah, the fall in the garden was important.
it's in Genesis 6 where you have the fall of the angels, 3 is where you have the tree in the garden.
But also, the incident at Babel, which was where mankind tried to create an artificial mountain to bring the gods down to mankind and give them a place to live. And the rebellion on Mount Hermon, Genesis 6, was key.
6 is where you have the Nephilim stuff, and the angels come in and they breed with the daughters of men. So I'm just going to start reading to you from Enoch, chapter 6.
You were underneath of it. You were underneath of the World Trade Center when it's going down.
Yeah, you see all this stuff right here, all the debris?
Mm-hmm.
So, I have a piece of debris that almost hit me in the head.
Okay, now what is this on the screen? So this is actually, you were close enough while you're taking the shots, you caught a piece of the plane, basically.
All that stuff came down and hit a bunch of people, and people were getting hit by it and dying all around while they were running. It was crazy.
Okay.
The Roman gods and the Roman mythologies, these were an amalgamation of the Greek gods, who were the great philosophers.
Satan reads in your text more like, well, he is the top, the eye on top of the pyramid, right? He's looking in and watching. He reads very much like an attorney.
Babylon is the great whore, the great wicked empire, Babylon.
He stood right here. This was one of the major events. Was Jesus standing here? Saw a vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angels showed unto me, unto Enoch. And he pointed. Peter was about where I am, where this Greek pillar that I'm sitting on is. And he pointed at Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan." This behind me is the place where Jesus stood in Mark 8. And he said to Peter, he said, "Get behind me, Satan." And from them I heard everything. Those who have an ear, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. That's from Revelation. Notice it's a 7 on the background back there. Watch the numbers and the letters on the screen. Just as I talk, it's strange where they fall.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. We got to get in the water?
From them I heard everything and understood as I saw. The eyes were opened. But not for this generation, not for Enoch's generation, but for a remote one. Look at the 8 back there. That's the symbol of infinity, the het. Jesus was raised from the grave, the tomb, the stone on the 8th, the new beginning day. Son of Man is all over this book.
And in this one here, these are bowls and shards and vases. Some of these were to catch blood. Some of these were to catch the blood of children.
To this hole that's sitting here. This hole where they used to sacrifice. You're reading about the bloodshed. And every temple from here to this is the mother of all evil temples up front. Mount Hermon. You can see it even looks like the mouth of the devil. But for a remote one, I'm guessing that's your generation. But for a remote one, which is for to come, the last generation of the age, concerning the elect, that second little group, that's Israel. The focus becomes Israel. Concerning the elect, do I write.
So when you look at these pretty temples and you're up and they're beautiful. You have carved serpents on temples that I've seen, and the serpents are for the blood.
Our first reference to abortion in the Book of Enoch. Abortion is referenced in the Bible as well. I find it interesting that the chapter is 69.
To be sacrificed and run down. There's something about the sacrifice. The devil wants you to sacrifice. Come sacrifice your babies.
And I took up my parable. That's the second time he refers to himself, his life in this place, as a parable. Took up my parable, my life, my little bitty story within this subset of a larger reality. I took up my parable concerning them. Welcome to the study of Enoch. Going back that way, and you're on the border of 3 volatile countries right here. Syria, Lebanon, and Israel. We wrecked a drone and lost a bunch of stuff. And that's not new to me in coming to Israel. And I'll tell you, the Lord has a purpose in everything. This right here, across right through and over where this hole is, this big devil's mouth called Pan's Cave, the evil cutesy god Pan, is devious, and he likes to do sexual things with goats and animals. And a lot of times, like in my life, a lot of times you'll feel like, and I can't even imagine how somebody like Jane feels, but you'll feel like I've lost something. Why? There's something. And but there's still purpose. There's purpose in it.
Roommate calls me up and he says, "Hey man, do you want to go to a Red Sox-Yankees game at Yankee Stadium?" And I said, yes, because I'm from Boston and that's what we do. We go to the Red Sox games because we hate the Yankees for whatever reason, because we're a few hundred miles apart. So anyway, check this out, right, dude? I have the Red Sox-Yankees stub from September 10th. You can see it right there. September 10th.
I got it. Okay.
Right? And so it got rained out. So that's important too. It got rained out. So that booked me. Instead of going to my apartment in Brooklyn, I went to my girlfriend's house. And there you go. September 11th, the very next morning. Boom. I'm there with my camera gear 2 blocks away. It was absolutely
This is a great story, man. This is their cutesy little god that they put in cartoons and other stuff for your kids to look at because it's cute.
Come sacrifice your babies, is what the devil wants. He loves that. That's what the abortion clinics really are. They would put these in the middle of minority communities, poor communities. Now they'll just kill anybody who's got a poor kid.
And the smitings of the embryo in the womb, that it may die. One of the main things you have done, and Ken and Joe Scott have done for years, is fight abortion.
But the idea behind those is that they're spending billions of dollars. They demand it, billions of dollars. And they're pretty buildings with pretty logos, just like the pretty temples. They're surrounded by slums because the people around these ancient temples, they all lived in slums.
So they ask for billions and billions of dollars. It doesn't help the community, which a lot of these are black, but they're poor. And they'll put it in there and say, come and kill your children here. And there'll be very beautiful buildings to come do it in, like the ancient temples were beautiful.
Yeah, that's exactly right. In fact, God says that they would offer their children to Molech.
I'm out here with Kim Clement's wife and daughter and their family and their crew, and we're wrecking drones and taking names.
But I want you to notice here, we've got the sign for the Temple of Pan.
The name Panias refers to the Greek god Pan, who was a half goat, half human demigod. In description, sounds a lot like the Seirim, the goat demons that the Israelites sacrificed to when they were wandering through the deserts of Edom on their way from Egypt to the Promised Land. It's a site that's had a long history connected to the spirit realm. It's at the foot of Mount Hermon.
And this was a message right at the hole of that cave that looks like a mouth back there. This was a message to darkness itself. Now, Mount Hermon is where, and that's called Pan's Cave. Pan, of course, is the goat-legged god, the demon goat thing.
Right. And those are mentioned in the book of Isaiah, where the prophet remembers that the Israelites were sacrificing to these goats, or these goat demons called Seirim in the desert. And roughly translated, that means hairy ones.
Yeah.
Now, on our recent trip to Israel and Jordan, we went into the desert of Edom, near what they call Wadi Rum. It's where they filmed the movie The Martian with Matt Damon, because of all that red sand. It looks like something from another world.
In the legend of Gilgamesh, you have a character that's part man and part beast that Gilgamesh befriends. Gilgamesh himself says that he's part man and part god.
That's where the Israelites were for 40 years. You can understand them maybe getting a little desperate after a couple of years. Like, okay, is Yahweh going to let us go to the Promised Land now? No, he says we got 38 more years to go. So they started falling for the lies of these demonic entities that were promising them a better deal.
Stand on this side, so if they hit somebody, it hits me. Let the little kids move along, they're not that safe. Okay. So, this is Jane and Trey, and we're out here. That's the Sea of Galilee. And so we're here. Jane rented a whole boat. It was an awesome boat. I got a bunch of cool footage, and then I wrecked the other drone, so we had to get this one out.
And it's, I don't think, a coincidence that when the Israelites gathered and had to offer sacrifices for the remission of sins, the sins of the tribe, the sins of the people were placed on a goat called, and this goat was turned loose into the wilderness for Azazel. Azazel is one of the watchers, one of the sons of God who came down with the others at Mount Hermon.
Your rubber little belly, are you happy to be here in Israel? Yes, she says she's happy. Are you going to wreck like the other one? No, she's not going to. Okay. Okay. So we're coming back this way. And here we are, we're in Israel. This is like the main drag in Tiberias. And they're kind of like a little trend in the footage, aren't they? So, and I've got another one. If we lose this one, Israel seems to be the place for losing drones. But here she is. Watch out, Jane. They can go berserk on you. It's like a dog. I had a dog one time that ran straight into a tree. And it was never the same dog afterwards. You know what I mean? Like afterwards, it was like it's the same thing with these things. If they hit something after that, it's never the same deal.
Now, coincidentally, this right here, where we're going to start in with the fall of the angels, is in Enoch chapter 6. And it came to pass in those days that the children of men had multiplied, and were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. It sounds a lot like Genesis 6, doesn't it? And the angels, the children of heaven, did Jesus not say they had reduced themselves? Jude writes, even the angels who kept not their first estate Ocaterian. This means not just the heavens, but traded their spiritual eternal bodies for flesh and blood, physical bodies with all the equipment, to do what Jesus says angels don't do. in heaven.
This is a genuine little Greek pillar that's right there. We got more of these guys as I come through here. But this is the cave of Pan. And it's right here where I stand right now and talk to you through this screen that Jesus said to Peter. And he was speaking to darkness in this area down in here where I'm stepping into the mouth. What represents the mouth of the devil, the god Pan? It's down in this pit, the black stone ceilings on top. See those? The black stone ceilings.
So there's something about this goat demon that affected Israel or seduced Israel at one point in the nation's history before they entered the Promised Land. And that's what you find being worshipped. That type of entity is what was worshipped at Panias, the grotto of Pan at the base of Mount Hermon. There's a lot of interesting connections between Mount Hermon and the netherworld.
Tell me. 3 temptations. First one. Afterwards, he was hungry. And when the tempter, that's this guy back here, Satan, when the tempter, he said to him, if you be, just like in the garden, did God really say, don't eat of the tree? If you be the Son of Man, the Son of God, command that these stones be made into bread.
To me, when I inquired regarding them, the angel said, this place is the end of the heaven and the earth.
And he said,
how are you ladies doing?
Not coming back.
What is it?
Preach, Trey.
Jane, will you read this right here? Can you hold it?
I need my...
oh, you can't see.
Donna will read it. She's good at reading.
Okay.
Which part?
Okay, so read right here, do 20, and say, and these are the names of the holy angels. That's an important part. You're doing the angels. Do you like angels?
Of course.
You do? Okay.
I love angels.
You do. Are angels real?
Oh, yes.
According to the number of angels. He's talking about the stars in the sky and the correlation between the number of stars and the number of angels, that these two are somehow symbolically one. I'm not saying a star is an angel, but I'm just stating that they symbolically, in this book, they represent them. And I asked the angel who went with me and showed me these things that were hidden. What are these things? And he said to me, the Lord of spirits has showed thee their parabolic meaning. Their parabolic meaning, their symbolic meaning. These are the names of the holy that dwell on the earth and believe in the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. Chapter 44. And another phenomenon I saw regards to the lightnings, how some stars arise and become lightnings and cannot part with their new form. It says, I saw Satan fall from heaven like lightning. Like lightning. I saw another phenomenon where the stars become as lightning, but they cannot return to their form. Look at the parabolic meanings. That's what was just stated in the passage before. The second parable, we start at 45. You're the 45th president of the United States. The prophecy of Cyrus comes from Isaiah 45.
Last time he visited us before he died, he was telling me about when he had seen angels or a few times in his life. But Dad's prophesied when he's heard the language of angels. And he spoke about the angels, and he said he could hear the tongue of angels. And he said anybody who tells you that there's no angels around, they're wrong.
What we hear all the time, I caught the nutshell. People write a lot. It's a dimension that runs parallel to this one. And in that dimension, what people are saying, it's not just a little alien-looking things that will show up and surround people's beds or surround operating table-looking things where they're looking in, they're peering in and examining you. And people believe they're on spaceships while this is happening. I have a different view. I think these are the things that are desiring, little puppeteers, desiring, and they're under this guy here, little puppeteers of Satan, desiring to control you.
And it was a plane that just basically hit the building and disintegrated and blew every which way from You could imagine. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Okay, now JD, what I want you to take me to is not only did you have this strange set of circumstances that lands you right there where you're the guy that takes some of the best shots of 9/11, you're running into the smoke and you are catching, you actually have part of the plane that you caught and took home and took some of the best photos. But a year or something before this, you were involved with drawings of those planes going down.
Kind of, yeah. So
take me through this.
All right.
So before you're underneath the buildings as they're falling, with all your camera gear, no less, by this strange set of events, tell me about that. Tell me about the drawings that came before. I don't remember the story about them. Take me through it.
So
nobody knows this about you. Truth is about this God in the Nutshell stuff, right? From entities to that's what entities looks like. This was probably the hardest, and this is a 2-disc set. All of these that are in my hand. Some of these were the most powerful documentaries. They still are. They're still, even the old ones. Sometimes people will write and they'll say the theory of everything. That it changed my life. Different people like different ones. We have, of course, the whole collections over there on God in the Nutshell as well. Design the price of those so you could have those. Just a whole beautiful set. They look awesome. They're the baddest dogs on the block. They look awesome on a coffee table. And there I saw one. These texts come out of those caves behind me. And there I saw one who had a head of days. That's the God. And his head was like that of white wool. I want to thank every last one of you that has supported us over the years. Come over. If you become a partner, you can cancel anytime. We're going to be releasing, I think, 2 parts, maybe 3, but at least 2, on the angels, fallen angels, and devils. We're doing an Enoch set. I want to completely lay out the end times as seen through Enoch's eyes. Also, copies of the Book of Enoch. Now, I have limited amounts of these, so you'll have to look on the God in a Nutshell site, see if you can get one. I'm going to be signing some of these, make them available to you, particularly when we have the DVDs up. And with him was another, whose countenance had the appearance of a man. Who is that? And his face was full of grace, like one of the holy angels. And I asked of the angel, I inquired of the angel who went with me and showed me all these hidden things concerning this one, this Son of Man, who he was, whence he was, and why he accompanied the Ancient of Days. That's the letter for the hit, the 8, the new beginning. Come over to God in a Nutshell. We're walking through, we're starting with the Enoch study. Become a partner with us to do the study. So you just go over there, the shop section, where it is on the top of the screen. Hit partnerships. It'll be about $10 a month. About $10 a month. You can cancel anytime. You can cancel anytime. But you will have the entire, you have several videos in there now. The Satan one is 2 hours long, roughly 2 hours long. And it's a bad dog of a video. We'll also have it available on DVD later, but for the present, you can get it on streaming. You can watch it right now. Within a few minutes, you can be watching the rest of it. I'm Trey Smith. God bless every last one of you on the other side of the screen.
I do. A lot of these different studios, they've got sort of secret location things. I don't want to compromise anybody's stuff, so beautiful studios. I can tell you this, they overlook all of Jerusalem. So I got pictures from the windows. Oh, thank you guys. The Islamic areas. I don't know how thrilled I am about doing that. But the road we wanted to go down is blocked, and so we are coming through. And if I remember this correctly, before there's really only one way in and one way out of this. So. But you're looking at the celebrations on the side. This is in the Islamic area.
If you don't have a set of the God in a Nutshell, if you don't have one of these sets of God in a Nutshell DVDs, make sure that you get one. These are the best conversation starters on the entire globe. That's what they are. That's what they've always been. They are the bad dogs on the block. Even beginning with the theory of everything, which I was sitting there with sweat wiping. Man, I had lights. I was in an RV. It was awful. I thought it would go nowhere. Unless it's a 7. These things. So this is a screen behind me that just rolls through all of the Hebrew letters and their affiliated numbers. I just let these play on the back screen. So during the video, Satan, and during other videos, when you see these play, that's why I get excited when I look at the numbers and the letters behind me on the screen and exactly where it is that they fall at. Where it is that they fall with what I'm stating. I'm Trey Smith. Become a partner with us. You can cancel anytime. I think you're going to love the video. We're going to deliver stuff. I'm hoping to deliver things several times a month, but at least once a month. A lot of things. We're working on that. I have numerous people helping with editing now. Come over, partner with us, watch the End of the Satan documentary. It's about 2 hours long. It's awesome. Probably the best I've ever done. I'm Trey Smith. God bless every last one of you. Save not one. On the other side of the screen. See how it keeps wanting me to flip? It don't want me to go further in.
Still your intuition.
I'm following that. We're going to follow these cars that flip around. So this is the Hotel Americana Colony Hotel. It's just a few blocks from the old city. I'm probably going to end up staying in the old city tonight. I'm going to try and get into Jordan. I don't have a visa. But that's what's new. What's new, really. So, and that's what Jane said. Just try and do it. Just try and get in there. So, I'm going to roll with them all the way to Elad. And then I'm going to try and get into Jordan tomorrow. Well, I've driven this road before. And what happened is I drove it, once I drove in far enough, because I got to another instance where the wall was closed and they'd shut that street down up there. And once I drove in far enough, at some point it will say rerouting, and it'll find a way. It'll find a way out. There's a way out this way. There it went. It switched it.
Continue straight. Oh,
switched it.
There we go.
Okay. So, and those were gunshots. No, I'm just kidding.